The flesh and the spirit does not have a cohabitation. That's why when you are born of God, it is expedient that you are no longer ruled by the flesh. You are no longer ruled by your impulses, by your appetite. Why? Because you have now switched realm. You are now living in a realm that's called the spirit. That's the civilization of God. Because the God that you are serving, that God is a spirit, and there's the ways of the spirit. So it says, except a man is born again, that man cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven. And it says, whatever is born of the flesh is what? Is flesh. And whatever is born of the spirit is spirit. I'd like you to know that the God that you are serving is a spirit. Please follow. The God that you are serving is a spirit, and spirits are not men. The ways of the spirit are different from the ways of men. The thought pattern of the spirit is different from the thought pattern of man. Spirit operates on an highway. Their thought pattern is higher than men. So you're not saying that my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. As the heaven is farther from the earth, so is my thoughts higher than your ways, and than your thoughts, and my ways higher than your ways. Are you following me now? So it means that if you want to operate with this spirit, you must come into the plane of the spirit. Because the only way you can begin to engage with a spirit is that you also become a spirit. It's a law in the spirit. The law is that father to child, spirit to spirit. Now, did you see that protocol? Spirit to spirit, not spirit to flesh. Why? Because the flesh lusted against the spirit, and the spirit lusted against the flesh. They don't cohabit. The flesh and the spirit does not have a cohabitation. That's why when you are born of God, it is expedient that you are no longer ruled by the flesh. You are no longer ruled by your impulses, by your appetite. Why? Because you have now switched realm. You are now living in a realm that's called the spirit. That's the civilization of God. Because the God that you are serving, that God is a spirit, and there's the ways of the spirit. There's the way you communicate with spirits. Spirits domiciles in a spiritual world, and the spiritual world is an higher plane than the physical world. In this physical world, what runs this environment is called three-dimensional environment, right? Time, space, and matter. But in the realm of the spirit is an endless light. What runs that civilization is light, and it is endless. In Revelation 21, the Bible told us that city shall not need the sun of the light of the sun, nor the light of the moon. Why? Because God himself shall be the light thereof. Are you following me? So when you come into the environment of the spirit, the only thing you begin to find there is the light of the glory presence of Yahweh. Everywhere God manifests, light is seen, because he's a being of light. And that's the person you are dealing with. You are dealing with a spirit. So you must understand who a spirit is. You must also understand how a spirit communicates. That's the life of the supernatural. If you don't understand this, you don't know the way of the Lord. You don't know the way of the supernatural. Because if you want to enter into dimensions of the supernatural, you must perpetually be experiencing the frequencies of light within your ecosystem. Light must break forth out of your being. Light is synonymous to the supernatural.